Hey guys, this is Mr. Alex, and I am about to give you a video to give you the answers for this week's assignment. And that was for animation and how do we animate and give control over our Flappy Bird. So let's get started. What we're going to do, I know it's different in PC, but hopefully we all have a better understanding of how the formats work and that you'd be able to follow along. So under title, let's call this Flappy Bird Clone. And under the platform, what we want to use is the Game Salad Arcade. You can press OK. And then once you do that, we will create that. Oops. Didn't want to split screen. There we go. What we're going to do now is get into our initial scene, and we want to import some of our images. And the images come from a previous email earlier on in the week with a couple of zip files, and we want the Flappy Bird images. So once you download and decompress those, you have those in a folder, and mine's right here, so I'm going to select those, press open, and there we go. We have those inside our images library. Okay. What we're going to want to do next is create an actor, and let's press plus and let's call that Flappy Bird. Okay. Now, one of the first things we're going to do, let's drag the first image of the Flappy Bird just to let's double click on that. So what we're going to do is drop our image so we can see what actor we are working with. One of the things that I like to do is to change the width. Hang on, and the height to a proper size of what we're going to do here. So let's change the first one, the width, to I think this is going to be 30. The second one is going to be 25. Okay. Now what we're going to want to do is go into our rules. We want to create a rule first, and this is when we are playing the game, and we're going to press our space bar to give the bird a little bit of height, little bit of loft as it's flying, and we want to make sure that when that space bar is pressed, that also we have a little bit of animation, and it might be a little too small to see the animation, but maybe I can correct that to make it a little bit more pronounced, but it's there. And what we want to do is when the actor receives not the mouse button, but the key press. So we're going to go to keyboard, and that's going to be space. When the keyboard space bar is pressed down, what do we want it to do? Well, we want it to do a couple of things. Well, let's answer our first question. What we did was, I wanted you to do was work on the animation. So we've got, under our behaviors, we've got an animate. I don't know if you all saw that. So let's pull that over into our behavior area. So how do you animate? Animation is a number of cells or frames that are just slightly different from each other, where when they're run in a loop or in sequence, that it gives it motion. So what we want to do is go under the images and select the 3 images that we have. If you'll notice, there's very subtle variation in all the in all the images to give it a look of flapping its wings. So once you do that, highlight it, you're going to drag it into the animate bar. And I like the speed, let's say 15 frames per second. We want it to loop and restore the image when we're done to its original image. So once we press preview, oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to go to our, where are we? I have to get this out of. Okay, so let's go to our scene. And since we have Flappy Bird over here, we want to drag him over. What a great looking bird. And because we've programmed the animation already, if we preview that, and if you press the space bar, you'll see he has a little bit of flapping in his wings. Do you see that? Press the space bar, there it goes. Alright, success. So let's go back. And one of the other things I think is good that we're going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of sound to that, and I just created that, so you're going to be able to find the link here to download the sound. So let me see if I can find that over here. I'm just going to import it, sounds, and we want to press add because we want to import it. I'm going to go to my desktop because that's where I put it, and I think I called it wings. There it is, wings. So I'm going to open that and import it as a sound. Okay, so once I have that, let's go back to behaviors, and I want to add a behavior of playing a sound. We're going to drag that over. That when the space bar is pressed, we're going to have it animated, and then we're going to add sound, wings. Okay, so now I've done that, and let's go to preview. So we have that Flappy Bird there. If I press it, so you'll see the animation, and you'll also hear the sound. Very nice. Great job so far. Let's go back. And so what we're going to do next is have this where you press the space bar and it begins to move in an up and down fashion. And that's part of the game. You're trying to get your Flappy Bird through a series of columns through the space, and when he successfully goes through one of them, he gets a point. So he has to flap his wings up and down, give himself some flight, and depending on his height or how high or low he is, he will be able to pass through or not pass through, and hopefully he does, and then he gets that point. So what we're going to want to do is add one of the behaviors that we've used before, and that's accelerate. So let's drag that over, and the direction we want it to go is in a 90-degree direction, and acceleration will keep it the same at 100. So let's go to preview, and when we press our space bar, every time we make a change, we should check on it so to see if it works. So what we're going to do is press the bar. We should have three things happen: animation, sound, and also this should move in an upwards direction. So let's see if that works. Beautiful. Okay, now it's completely off the screen. So I'm going to press my reset so it goes back into position, and it looks great, but it's not exactly quite what the game is, because when he flaps up, naturally because of gravity, what goes up must come down. So we have to program it for it to fall, have a natural fall. So what we want to do is create a separate rule on this. So let's create another rule. And remember that it's when the space bar is up. So we want to change this. Actor receives event of the key, and we're going to tell it that it's the space key. So when the space key is left alone or in its up position, what do we want it to do? We want to actually do another one. There are probably a couple of ways to do this. I want it to accelerate toward. Okay? Accelerate toward. And we're going to do a couple number changes in here. The position is going to be 90. The up and down position is going to be a negative 90. And acceleration, we want to keep it at 100. Actually, I think it's better if it's 150 because you want it to always have a little bit of that fall there. So once you do that, let's press preview. Oh, I completely lost them. So we're going to press reset. And look at that. That looks pretty sweet. So he does fall. And what's nice about this this behavior is that it gives you a little bit of forward and backwards movement rather than just being up and down. It gives a little bit more naturalness to it. Okay, and poof, he's gone. So there you go. That's really good. So one of the other things, let's go back to our scene. Okay, and I think one of the other things we want to do, let's go to our images, and we want to put the background in there. Ta 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 ta, ta 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 ta. Send to back. I right-click it and send it to the back. I think what I'm going to do also is create a blue background for this because really it needs to. Really, it needs to have a nice, beautiful sky. So I think we're going to change this to blue, but let's just use the green for now. And then what you can do then is to populate your, is then to populate your scene images with some of these graphics. So that's not what I'm wanting. Okay, so let's delete this one. Oh. Okay. So what we can do is drag these actors over here, and we're going to give them a little bit of a change. And that's, of course, that is way too big. So what we want to do is change them in their height and their width. I would say, let's say 300, 200. And 300. See how that looks. Not too bad. Should be a little shorter, 250. Okay, that looks a little bit more natural. Looks good. And let's go back, and we're going to drag our building here into the scene. And we want to send it backwards, because we always want our Flappy Bird to be out in the front. So send to front. And let's just bring that down the size to where we want it to be. And you want to make sure that when you put your background images onto there, that it looks nice. You don't want. I was just showing you with the building right there. That's not going to look good because you can barely see the bird. So give them some something like that. Let's put another building. Oops. Add another building. A little bit on the big side, I think. Just drag it on there. And we'll resize it properly. And then you can use any or all, any of these items, none of these items. You know, you just put that where you think it's going to look good. If we put our sun, let's put a cloud in there. Oh, the cloud does not look good because we have to get a new graphic for that. That was not set as a PNG. So I'm going to have to get you a new one of those. I think our sun is the same way, so we'll have to change that. And I think I've got a couple more buildings that I might want to put up. A little bit on the big side, so we're going to shrink those down. Little mom and pop shops. I love it, looks good. So there we go. We've got our animation, we've got some sound, and we've got the movement of our bird. And next week I'm going to show you how to spawn the pipes that we have to create the obstacles for the Flappy Bird. So until then, we will see you guys. Hope you're having fun. I'm going to preview this again.